Delhi. It's back to base. Put national ambitions on hold. Number 2, build a pan-India cadre. Arvind Kejriwal has also realized, or I'm sure the Aam Aadmi Party also realized, that other than Punjab and Delhi, where does it have a cadre base, even if it wants to expand its foothold? Also, to focus on a stronger party bench strength. Is there a second rung of strong leadership where the Aam Aadmi Party comes into question? Save a few, right now, no. Find tenable political allies. The Aam Aadmi Party has been out in the cold with very few other political parties holding their hand through the time of crisis. And what's gone down in the last few days stands testimony to that. Also, it is an option which maybe vintage Arvind Kejriwal would have exercised, that to launch a full-blown offensive against BJP and Modi. Or somebody would say this would be politically astute, fly under the BJP radar in 2024 and try and peak in 2029. On the other hand, what is it that Arvind Kejriwal is looking at? Clearly, doesn't want to ally where the BJP is concerned. The Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party have been two sides of the spectrum. So Arvind Kejriwal looking to build together an axis which comprises of non-BJP, non-Congress parties. But for the first time, viewers, we'd heard him very, briefly during the time when he spoke after meeting Manish Sisodia's wife when Mr. Sisodia was arrested. 4 days later, Arvind Kejriwal comes out and speaks to the press, publicly addressing his cadre. If this was vintage Kejriwal, you would have seen a combative Arvind Kejriwal, aggressive Arvind Kejriwal coming in and going after the BJP or even the Prime Minister. Not so much this time around. What's gone down? Listen in to a fairly tepid Arvind Kejriwal. Is he on the back foot or is he recalibrating?
ऐसे दोनों शख्स जिन्होंने दुनिया में भारत का नाम रोशन किया, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उन दोनों को जेल में डाल दिया। शराब नीति तो बहाना है, शराब नीति में कोई घोटाला नहीं हुआ, सब फर्जी है। असल में प्रधानमंत्री जी चाहते हैं कि दिल्ली के अंदर जो अच्छा काम हो रहा है वो अच्छे काम को रोका जाए, क्योंकि जो काम हम लोग कर रहे हैं वो नहीं कर सकते। मैंने अभी एमएलएज के साथ भी मीटिंग की, काउंसलर्स के साथ भी मीटिंग की, उसमें भी मैंने उनके राय जानी। जनता में भारी रोष है, जनता में इतना ज्यादा रोष है, जनता कह रही है ये कर क्या रहे हैं बीजेपी वाले। आम आदमी पार्टी को ये रोकना चाहते हैं। जब से हम पंजाब जीते हैं इनसे बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा, तो मैं उनको कहना चाहता हूं, इन लोगों को, बीजेपी वालों को, आम आदमी पार्टी आंधी है, आंधी। अब ये किसी के रोके रुकने वाली नहीं है। नो वन कैन स्टॉप द आइडिया हुज टाइम हैज कम एंड आम आदमी पार्टीज टाइम हैज कम। जब इंदिरा गांधी ने अति करी थी, उन लोगों को भी ऐसा ही घमंड हुआ था। जब जब कोई इतिहास गवाह है कि जब जब किसी राजा को अति घमंड हो जाता है, अहंकार हो जाता है बहुत ज्यादा, तो इसी तरह की हरकतें करते हैं वो लोग।
All right, so can Kejriwal the crisis with what he, in just terms of body language and the way he spoke for the first time? For someone who's covered Aam Aadmi Party rallies, interviewed him many times, if this was vintage Kejriwal, viewers, I'll say it again, he would have gone all out, aggressive, combative. Is he on the back foot? Is he a little shook up? All of that, let's break it down. Joining me this evening is Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor. In a short while, Rahul Srivastav, our national affairs editor, would also be with us. Yogendra Yadav, co-founder, Swaraj India, who was once a part of the Aam Aadmi Party as well. And Mr. Yadav, I'd begin with you. Do you, for someone who's worked with Arvind Kejriwal, who knows how he functions, he's someone who changes his political language very quickly, adapts very quickly. If this was, what Arvind Kejriwal used to be, we would have seen a very different side of him. Do you see, has it impacted him a lot more than what usually Arvind Kejriwal is used to, or the bounce back is not so sharp this time?
I'm not the best reader of his body language and so on. Yes, I will.
Mr. Yadav, we seem to have lost you. We're going to try and, reconnect your audio and your video link. But Rajdeep, I'll bring you in. Meanwhile, we try and connect back to Mr. Yadav. How would you read with what went down today with Arvind Kejriwal in terms of, you're speaking for the first time, not just to the people, of Delhi or to your national audience. You're also talking to your cadre. Your deputy CM has been arrested. Would you have expected a more aggressive front?
Look, I think somewhere Arvind Kejriwal has been shaken by the events of recent times. He may not admit it, but the fact is that when your right-hand man is put in jail, it does affect you, particularly someone whom you've given almost the entire charge of Delhi administration. And I think Mr. Kejriwal today, while not being combative, is clearly now trying to assess what his next move should be. I think he is being more careful in his words, in his choice of words, but make no mistake, I think he recognizes that he has to play on the front foot. I'm told that he is going to go on his travels to Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, other states, and is not going to cancel them because of what's happened to Manish Sisodia. I'm told that he's even looking at the possibility of reaching out to leaders across party lines to seek their support. Many of them have given it. And I do believe that by making Atishi and Saurabh Bhardwaj ministers, I think he's signaling that he wants to give a facelift, as it were, to the AAP at a time when the party finds itself with its back to the wall. So while, Preeti, you can say that, you didn't see an aggressive Kejriwal, I think what you're seeing is a more calculating Kejriwal, waiting for his moment, aware that anything he says on the liquor case at the moment may not necessarily get much traction, hoping that the courts will provide Manish Sisodia a break. So I think he's pressed the pause button and then wants to assess the situation before he makes his next move. I wouldn't say that he's given up in any way, far from it. We've seen Arvind Kejriwal in the past also punch above his weight, and just when you think he's down and out, he has an ability to bounce back. So I wouldn't rule out Arvind Kejriwal bouncing back, but he clearly has taken a bit of a blow by all the events of the last week.
Yogendra Yadav, do you see that, one leader, whether one likes him or hates him or whatever that might be, is someone who can immediately change his political language. He adapts very quickly. Do you see that happening for him this time around? Mr. Yadav, can you hear me, sir? All right, we seem to be having a problem with the video and audio link of Yogendra Yadav. But Rahul, would you want to take the question? Because every time we've seen Arvind Kejriwal in crisis, he's tried to turn it into an opportunity very quickly. He recalibrates and adapts very quickly, even the party, if you look at it.
Preeti, I recall the time when Arvind Kejriwal left midway the government, and the BJP attacked him. That I think, if I recall rightly, he was called Bhagoda and all that. And Arvind Kejriwal responded by throwing himself at the feet of the voters in Delhi and saying, I will never make the same mistake again. Now, Arvind Kejriwal has a tenacity. But when you ask me the question that Arvind Kejriwal is very quick-footed, in a political spectrum today, atmosphere today, in which perhaps today he does not need to display quick-footedness, I think he needs to show a certain degree of firmness that where he stands. So I don't know whether how good a positive is that, but yes, it will definitely be handy. Arvind Kejriwal cannot stop at this moment. There are times in political life when leaders find that they're facing a wide gap. So they have two options: stand and wait for things to improve, or press the accelerator so hard that you drive and hope that you will jump over the gap. Now, Arvind Kejriwal, I think, the kind of politician one has known him, may choose for the second option. But if you see the situation today and analyze what has happened today in today's frame, I think since yesterday, at one time, if Arvind Kejriwal's BJP had inflicted an injury and a wound on the Aam Aadmi Party, there was bluster. With that bluster, he would take the wound to the public and say, see, this is how I am being treated. I think that bluster is gone. That resignation and the acceptance of that resignation indicates that Arvind Kejriwal realizes that that bluster won't work. He will have to go back to the drawing board. It's Arvind Kejriwal definitely back at the drawing board, not as sure-footed as he was few days back. But yes, I think he has also got a benefit of being new to the large political cesspool of India. And in fact, he can discover newer footwork. So if he can, then he can well be the Viren Sehwag of Delhi.
Well, he does find himself completely isolated where even political allies are concerned. Very few coming out in support of the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party recognizes that. The sheer fact you don't have that kind of bench strength in terms of talent and leaders in your own political party. Yogendra Yadav, I hope we have you back. Where do you see Arvind Kejriwal go from here?
I was saying, Preeti, if I can be heard now, I was saying that I'm no particular expert in Arvind's body language, his style, and what he can do. If only I had known all these things, history would have been somewhat different. So I can't claim to be much of an analyst. All I would say is that in this entire discussion, we just assume that there is a very strong adversarial relationship between the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, which does appear to be the case today. And yes, it is correct to see CBI moves as political moves. And the whole point is to try and change the equation for 2024. That's how I read it, because the manner of arrest, the whole drama about arrest, and the media orchestrated reaction, all this is BJP's way of creating a certain pitch for 2024. But I would urge everyone to also entertain one more possibility, because as all of us know, the ideological distance between BJP and Aam Aadmi Party of today is not as much as would be the case with other opposition parties. Aam Aadmi Party is a non-BJP party, but is it truly a party opposed to the present regime in terms of its ideological political positions? That is not clear. Some people would also say that if BJP wants a short-term opposition, then it's the Aam Aadmi Party that BJP might wish to prop up. I'm not saying that's what they are doing. I'm not saying the CBI is playing all those games. But please do remember that in the short term, if Aam Aadmi Party's stock goes up, say in states like Gujarat, in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, the beneficiary is the BJP. So while in the long run, they are adversaries, in the short term, there is a...
Mr. Yadav, we just about lost you again. Your voice is breaking, but yes, you've delivered your point, and it's a very important point that Mr. Yogendra Yadav has made. Rajdeep, a point that has been echoed many times over by the Congress, that ultimately the Aam Aadmi Party is the team B of the BJP, and really one doesn't have to look too far. Look at the fine print of the Gujarat elections. Who benefited, of Aam Aadmi Party coming in there? The BJP. The debacle of Congress rests on the shoulders of the Aam Aadmi Party, and if now he goes ahead and fights, say, Chhattisgarh, looks at Madhya Pradesh, looks at Rajasthan, who benefits?
Look, I don't for once agree with due respect to Professor Yadav. I actually think that there is a large section of the BJP that actually sees Arvind Kejriwal as their real threat going ahead, particularly into 2029, if you look at a long-term horizon, and actually believes that their perfect enemy at the moment is the Congress under Rahul Gandhi. This Yogendra ji may not agree with that, but that's the sense I get speaking to BJP leaders, that they are far more comfortable taking on the Congress than they are Aam Aadmi Party. There may be questions over the timing of Mr. Sisodia's arrest at a time when the BJP and the Modi government found itself being targeted by several opposition parties during the parliament session on the Adani question. Manish's arrest takes place even though the questioning had started several months earlier. So there could be questions over the timing of the arrest. But to suggest that the AAP is being propped up by the BJP, I'm not so sure. And I think that really will, that is something we will have to see in the next 1 year. I think what the AAP is doing, Preeti, is it's challenging Congress in different states. The AAP strategy over the last couple of years after they won Delhi was to go to states where they thought the Congress is vulnerable and thereby try and occupy that Congress space. That they are doing, or that they are attempting to do, as they attempted in Gujarat. But to suggest from there that the BJP is propping up AAP, or the BJP wants to, use this instance to prop up Mr. Kejriwal? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of animosity that exists between the BJP and AAP as well. So I have a slightly different take
view
on that.
Yogendra Yadav wants to come in, and I'll go back to Rahul Srivastava. But Yogendra Yadav, then one can say the same. Practically, if the results are to go by tomorrow in the two states of Meghalaya and Tripura, of what exit polls suggest, then one can say the same of the TMC as well, that it's the team B of the BJP. Ultimately, it's the BJP that's benefiting in these two states with the TMC coming in.
Preeti, this language of Team B started with you. Actually, I was saying something somewhat different, and that's probably why Rajdeep misunderstood
Apologies,
my
sir.
point.
Sorry.
I actually see the relationship between BJP and Aam Aadmi Party as similar to that of between DMK and ADMK. They are cutter enemies of each other, and they are cutter enemies precisely because they are so close to each other. This is the kind of relationship I was talking about. And while in the long term, absolutely, I completely agree that BJP would see Arvind Kejriwal as a long-term threat that they have to deal with. In the short term, which is to say up to 2024, there is a strange convergence between BJP's long-term designs of wanting to have a Congress Mukt Bharat and Aam Aadmi Party's short-term project of first eliminating the Congress and then occupying that space itself. So there is a strange convergence. Does that convergence lead to a conscious attempt to prop it up? No, probably not. All I would say is, in whatever calculations you are making, please do not forget this very strange and very odd convergence between two very serious rivals. This is what happens in politics so often, and I would like Rajdeep just to keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
it's an interesting this observation, Preeti, that the BJP wants a Congress Mukt Bharat and Arvind Kejriwal wants to take on the Congress and grab some of the space from the Congress. There I agree that there is a convergence. Whether that is part of a larger conspiracy and therefore it's working to a particular chronology, I'm not so sure. Sometimes events in politics may appear entirely coincidental. I actually think that the real challenge now for Arvind Kejriwal is, how do I retain my core identity?
But that's
your identity was an anti-corruption party.
But
that's the challenge for him.
But Rajdeep, off late, and I'll bring in Rahul Srivastava in on this, the fact is that the Aam Aadmi Party's ideological, you could call it moral compass, or the ideology of the Aam Aadmi Party has been a little unclear, which feeds into the narrative, which possibly Mr. Yogendra Yadav is talking about.
Preeti, yes, I think that is the benefit of being a new outfit. It's a startup. Arvind Kejriwal didn't need to take a stand. He came from a movement. He did well in Delhi. His freebies caught the fancy of the people and voters in Delhi, and he routed everybody. And then he went to Punjab and he won two elections, and he succeeded. See, the point, Preeti, here is definitely that Aam Aadmi Party will have to stand up and say what it stands on several things in issues is concerned. But I think both these two wise minds, Rajdeep and Yogendra, are right. But there is actually, let me decipher what is the real thing. Both of them, both the BJP and Arvind Kejriwal, have been conveniently using each other. It's an unstated kinship. In UP, it used to be Mulayam Singh Yadav would do things which will help him polarize the Muslim votes for himself, eventually help the BJP and cut everybody out. That's the kind of kinship which is emerging. If you see, when Rajdeep says that it is because of the parliament session, no. It is the BJP has acted at a time when the Congress plenary session was happening right after that, and the Congress seemed to be grabbing that central space. The BJP has created a flashpoint called Manish Sisodia and created a scene between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP is also shuffling its own opposition deck.
Well, that is if, we believe that the BJPs are controlling the agencies, but we're going to leave it at that. It's all conjecture. I appreciate all three of you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you, Rahul, Rajdeep and Yogendra Yadav. We're going to keep a keen eye on all developments. Interesting. Will the Aam Aadmi Party at least, go back to the drawing board and at least form a cohesive ideology to go ahead? Well, we don't quite know. Right now, what we don't know is Arvind Kejriwal is going to go ahead with his plan of visiting the 3 election-bound states in the end of the year: Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. A quick break. Up next is Rahul Kawal.
War is spectator sport. We are emperors of Rome.
Tom Hiddleston will reportedly reprise his role as the protagonist Jonathan Pine in the second season of Night Manager.
My name's Pine. I'm the night manager.
You bring the money to us, we give you back the boy.
You'll be in so deep, you'll worry that you'll never get out.
I got nothing to lose.
According to reports, the show will begin filming later this year in London and South America under the codename Steelworks.
My main man, my star. I think he might be playing both sides. We need Richard Roper. I'm going to get you out of here.
The series revolves around Pine, a former British soldier and night manager of a 5-star hotel in Cairo, who is hired by the head of a foreign office team to infiltrate Roper's inner circle.
Anyone can betray anyone.
Penned by Farr and directed by Susan Bayer, the first season also starred Olivia Colman, Tom Hollander, Elizabeth Debicki and David Harewood, among others.
I'm the night manager.
You bring the money to us, we give you back the boy.
You'll be in so deep, you'll worry that you'll never get out.
I got nothing to lose.
Go!
You saved my boy. Welcome to the family.
The Hindi adaptation of The Night Manager starring Aditya Roy Kapoor as Pine and Anil Kapoor as Roper was launched earlier this month on the OTT platform Disney Plus Hotstar and will reportedly have a second season as well.
It's showtime now.
शैलेंद्र रुंगटा एक आर्म्स डीलर है जो लोगों के खून से पैसा कमाता है।
मुझे छू भी पाना इंडियन इंटेलिजेंस के बस की बात ही नहीं है।
शैली की लंका गिराने के लिए मुझे अपना विभीषण चाहिए।
मेरा ऐसे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है। मैं कोई सीक्रेट एजेंट नहीं हूँ। मैं एक नाइट मैनेजर हूँ।
So I think in general there is obviously much more digital advertising happening and the platforms are becoming more active and influencers are becoming more active because we do feel that this is going to shape advertising in the future in a very, very big way. So more than I would say, has it gone up or down because the guidelines are very recent. I think what we can say is that just at an anecdotal basis, we are seeing a lot more influencers who are compliant. We are seeing the hashtags being used. We are seeing the paid partnership tags being used. So I think that's a great step and we are definitely seeing more platforms also bringing in disclosure labels so that there is a native way to kind of disclose your material connection. So I think, influencers are taking this whole thing, I feel in a really good way, in a very positive way and using disclosure, not with any kind of pressure, but I think as a voluntary choice that they are making. And I think that is really, really great news.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's been a rise in digital ads. Digital influencing marketing is the newest thing on the block. Where do you think this will go? Will it take over the revenue, the ad spends that we saw for TV ads? Will digital advertising be the biggest advertising field in ad?
If you see the growth that it has, I mean, it's already kind of inching towards television growth. So television still remains the largest, but digital is now a close second. And the rate of growth of digital is definitely higher. So I think, I think all media will continue to grow. So it's not as if, that you will actually see a decline in any particular medium. But yes, I think just in terms of percentage split, I feel that digital is likely to take over television in the next few years.
stabbing pain at the back of neck, constant headache, excessive sleepiness. Many of us are only starting to discover what stress is doing to our bodies.
This is the most embarrassing day of my life, is not it?
A few years ago, ABC News anchor Dan Harris had a panic attack on air.
I knew with rock solid certainty.
Have you ever felt like Dan? Anxious, breathless, and a sense of panic. Just panicky for no good reason. Well, the culprit really is stress here.
Yet people do not recognize stress as a problem until it begins to tell on them.
When there is more than the normal tolerable stress, then all these factors, high cholesterol, high sugar which is produced, high blood pressure, increased heart rate, and the spasm of the arteries of the heart also lay a foundation for developing heart blockages.
Doctors say the curtains have scarcely come down on the COVID pandemic, then India seems to be in the grip of another epidemic, a silent one at that, brought on by stress. In a survey of 10,000 Indians conducted in December 2020 by the Center of Healing, a mental health service platform based in Delhi, 74% of the respondents reported stress and 88% anxiety. Nearly 70% of the therapists surveyed documented an increase in the number of patient visits. 55% said there had been an increase in first-time clients after the pandemic. Stress is no stranger to humankind. It is perhaps as old as existence itself. The human body is primed both to recognize it and to deal with it through a combination of responses that make up what is called the flee or fight mechanism. It is the overreaction to stress where things start to go wrong.
Small amount of stress is very good to keep you motivated, to keep trying to achieve things which make you happy. But then beyond that, stress always brings down your performance, prevents you from enjoying life. Find a balance between your work and your personal life. Then the second thing is you should always plan some short vacations in the year and some good long vacations where you are out with your family. Third is that indulging in sports activities is a great stress buster. It gives you exercise as well as a mental relaxation.
Many who understand sustainability understand slow fashion is the way to go. So what's the problem? Slow fashion can be more expensive and more often than not is expensive compared to fast fashion. But there is a solution. Reuse, repurpose. Alternatively, go for something called as a closet detox. You can sell a big label on a pre-loved fashion platform to make the planet a better one so that all of that does not go into the landfill. What's more, you can even buy pre-loved clothing. Celebrities have now caught on to the pre-loved trend. Recently, Alia Bhatt, Deepika Padukone, Katrina Kaif and Anushka Sharma indulged in a closet detox, setting off a pre-loved revolution in India. While you give your closet a second life, remember you are also giving your planet another life. And with that, don't forget to reuse, repurpose, or alternatively, join the pre-loved revolution in India. In New Delhi with Vaishnavi Kaharwar, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
State of war ends. Now for verdict. Super suspense for 3 state results. Experience a new high in verdict reporting.
We have the most accurate pollster with us.
Absolutely bang on.
Accurate results at blinding speed. The only verdict broadcast India will watch. Verdict Day with the #1 election team.
So sorry.
कहना है कह कहना है, कहना है, कहना है, आज तुमसे ये पहली बार हो तुम ही।
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Ply, आग से बचाए.
Co-presented by
Macho Hind, बड़े आराम से. Co-powered by CX, it helps. Co-powered by Sera, this is your space, play it your way. Hyundai Ioniq 5, the all-electric SUV.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. Will India be able to forge some kind of a consensus on the contentious issue of the Russia-Ukraine war? What could happen in the first bilateral meeting between the Indian and the Chinese foreign minister on Indian soil after the Galwan clashes? On the news track tonight, we are counting down to the big G20 foreign ministers meeting in the Indian capital, and that's my top focus on the news track this evening.
G20 booster rocket marks India era.